Hi everyone out there, and thanks for joining me. Rob here again. Welcome to my channel. Now today, what am I talking about? I'm talking about a very, very special collaboration with some people that are really sort of idols of mine, really. It all started when I found a YouTube channel called Living Ornaments, and it was hosted by Stephen Roper. I didn't know him, I didn't know anything about the channel, but I had been searching on YouTube Gary Numan. So, you know, when it comes up with your page, it gives you recommendations, your homepage or whatever, comes up with recommendations of things you could watch from what you've been already watching. And loads of Gary Numan things come up, and I thought, hey, this is pretty groovy. And one that came up was this channel. And I was sort of doing invoicing and stuff on my laptop, and I like to have other windows open in the background, you know, it could be music or, you know, documentaries or something. And I'm not watching it, but I'm listening and I'm typing and doing what I need to do. And I thought, well, I'll watch and listen to some of these Stephen Roper interviews, where Stephen interviews all sort of old Gary Numan band members through all the different years, from the classic period, sort of 78 to 81 or 80, to 81, and then 82 onwards. And everyone's got a story to tell, of course, from different parts of, you know, different sides of the story of how it was for them and what was going on at the time, what the album was, what the tour was, you know, how big Gary was at that point or not, you know, the highs and the lows. And it's just really interesting. So anyway, I contacted Stephen and said, I love your channel. And he said, listen, and I told him what I did, you know, Susie and all the bands I play with. He said, let's just hook up and have like a FaceTime. So we did. We got on really well. And he said, let's do this again. So we did it again, this time with a bit more wine, being drunk. And he's just sort of said off the cuff, he said, do you know what? All these electronic people that I follow, OMD, obviously Numan, and loads of other people from that 70s, 80s period. He said, you know, no one's really ever done anything with the samples from space. Like NASA have set some samples free, you know, on the internet. And other places, you know, you hear sounds of the Mars rover and, you know, radiation sort of crackles and stuff like that, and the winds on these planets and just different things, you know. And he said, no one's made music from it. Carried on our conversation. Anyway, the next morning I wake up and think, right, I'm going to make a start. So I made a start on something, and then I sent it to him, and he said, I've got a great idea. Why don't we take that little idea and we'll add to it with loads of other people? And I was like, brilliant idea. So then he was telling me he was contacting all these ex-Gary Numan members. And I was like, oh, I got really nervous. I was like, no, don't do that. But, you know, they all heard it. And because they've obviously worked with the drummer that this is all dedicated to, which is where we're leading to with all this, they all sort of added their bits and turned bits around. And it became a huge collaboration between myself, Robert Dean on guitar, Chris Payne on violin and keyboards, and also Andrew Coughlan, who played bass. And Stephen was the mastermind who got this all together. And then the four of us just went away, wrote little bits, added it to this sort of, I only had a very thin idea of something. And all these other people brought, you know, flesh to the bones, if you like. And we created this lovely electronic soundscape. And now what are we going to be doing with this? Well, I'm going to put some links up for you. I haven't got the video to tag on the end of this. The video, which again, when you see the video is incredible. The guy did the video for us, whose name I can't remember, but I'll put it up here, so sorry. Did an incredible job. And the thing is, everyone just got behind it with that electronic ambient soundscape vibe, you know, and everything we sent each other, we didn't have to sort of say, hey, do you mind redoing that? And Rob, what do you think? You know, could you please redo that? It was kind of, everyone got on board. They knew exactly what was needed for this music. And now this is the point of where this is leading. So I'll put a link, and I might even put something up here, but it's quite long. But there'll be a link at the end in the description down below. Click on it and go and check it out. And there'll also be another link on there, because the reason sort of all this came together through the Gary Numan family, if you like, the alumni and all that. Now, Cedric Sharpley I've spoken about before. He means a lot to me. He was a drummer that was extremely influential in those early years when I was watching Top of the Pops and growing up. I started playing at 9 years old, 1979. Gary Numan had 2 number ones in 1979, and no one looked like him or sounded like him in 1979. So he was the person that I gravitated to. And Cedric Sharpley played with Gary on and off throughout. So he certainly played through the heyday from like 79 to 82 or something, 81. And then he rejoined again in 83, and that sort of thing went on, you know, through the next sort of 20 years or so. And I saw him live with Gary quite a few times. And even when Gary was sort of on a downer, if you like, where it wasn't quite as popular, I still loved to go and see the band. And Chris Payne was in the band then. And to be working with someone like Chris now is amazing. And to dedicate this tune, which is what's happening, all of us are dedicating this piece of music to the Cedric Sharpley drum bursary. And again, I'll put some details here and down below. And you don't have to donate any money. This isn't telling you to go and do that. But if you like the music, you like what you hear when you see the video, and if you like Gary and you know, Cedric meant something to you, then you may want to donate something. And if you did, it would be wonderful, because the idea is this bursary, like any bursary, is set up to help educate young drummers. So 2 drummers get a whole year's worth of drum lessons if we can keep the money going into the pot and so on. So as I say, all of us, Robert Dean, Chris Payne, Andy Coughlan and myself, and Stephen Roper, who's, as I say, the mastermind of this, we're all extremely proud of this project. The tune is called Mars Rover, and it's on YouTube. As I say, all the links are below. Drum-wise, you know, it's got electronic stuff going on along with live drums, which, as I've said many times on some of these clips, you know, I mentioned Prince as being an influence of doing that, but of course, the influence for Prince doing it was the same one that I had first as well, was Gary Numan. And of course, Cedric Sharpley is a massive part of that. So this is dedicated from all of us to Cedric Sharpley and the drum bursary. I hope you enjoy it. Leave any comments down below, and I'll stop rabbiting on and I'll let you go and enjoy the video.